In the African continent, there lived a small island known as Putashi. Putashi was a beautiful island occupied by a few people known as the Nkrants. They lived a very happy and harmonious life. In the island, there lived a couple by the name Nzula and Mwaki. They loved each other very much and followed one another everywhere. They would go to the markets together, Mwaki carrying the basket while Nzula choosing what to buy. They would go to the shrine to seek the ancestors' favor, still together. Nzula would not go anywhere without Mwaki. As the years passed, Nzula gave birth to two children, Adela and Abela. Their children grew up and decided that it was time for them to further their education, and the island had no improved education system. Adela and Abela both went outside the island to further their education and look for a living. Mwaki and Nzula were so proud of them and asked their ancestors to guide them wherever they go. Being left alone, Mwaki and Nzula stayed together happily, though they missed their children. However, they knew they did the right thing to let them go. People in the Putashi Island always admired the couple, and the young girls wished to have a caring husband just like Mwaki, while young men wished to have submissive wives just like Nzula. One day, Nzula woke up before Mwaki, preparing porridge for breakfast, and did the normal morning duties. When she went to wake her husband, she realized that he was so cold and his skin was pale. She tried to wake him, but all was in vain. Nzula let out a loud cry, not believing what just happened. She brought all the traditional herbs and tried to cure Mwaki, hoping for him to wake up, but Mwaki was already dead. Deep inside, Nzula knew the state of her husband, but she could not accept it. She made herself believe that he was just in a deep slumber and was going to wake up anytime soon. Nzula ran to the shrine carrying a lamb to sacrifice to the ancestors so that they could help her. She did rituals to summon the ancestors. However, she did not get any response. She went back home, cleaned her husband, and made sure that he was clean and preserved his body with traditional herbs. That night, Nzula shared the bed with her husband and she felt safe. In the morning, she woke up and made sure that her husband was clean and went again to the shrine. She took another lamp, did the same ritual over and over again, but no response. The next day, she took another lamp, went to the shrine, and repeated the process over again. Like it is said, trust the process. Nzula had faith that one way or another she would be able to summon the ancestors and they would help her. 1 week passed, 2 weeks passed, but she gave up. She had no courage to do the rituals anymore. She wept and kept mourning for her dead husband. She then decided to seek help from the sorcerer. Maybe the sorcerer would be able to talk to the ancestors or have another way to wake up her husband. Still, she kept telling herself that he was just in a deep slumber and will wake up and they will continue living happily. Nzula cleaned up her husband and used herbal preservatives to keep the body fresh and set out to a 2-day journey to seek the great sorcerer. When she met the sorcerer, he asked her if she had come with something to please the ancestors so that they can help her. Nzula had carried the lamps that were left and gave them to the sorcerer. He told her that her husband was indeed in a slumber, but now he is in a deeper sleep and is blocked in a spiritual world. The sorcerer told her that she had to treat her husband just like before and talk to him as if he was alive, and then he gave her an amulet that she was to put on Mwaki's neck. The sorcerer told her that her husband would wake up after 2.5 years because that was the period required to unblock the spirit realm from our physical realm. Nzula was happy hearing that her husband would wake up one day. Mwaki was everything to Nzula and she couldn't live without him. Nzula went back home and the first thing was to clean her husband and place the sorcerer's amulet on his neck and stay with him for some hours. Weeks and months passed. Nzula would wake up, normally clean her husband, and apply traditional herbs to preserve his body. She would clean the compound and then prepare food. Nzula would take the food and go to eat it with her husband. She would scoop food with a spoon, put it in his mouth, After 2 minutes, she would scoop the same food from her husband's mouth and put it in the bowl and continue eating. And she would feed her husband that way every time to please him. Nzula would take some of the food and pour it to the ground for ancestors to receive. And when the dogs get to eat the food, she would be happy because she knew she had pleased the ancestors. However, people started wondering why Nzula was going to the market alone without her husband. It was their habit to go together. "Where is Mwaki?" they would ask. Nzula would tell them that he was not feeling well. When they asked if they could visit him, Nzula would tell them that he doesn't want to see anyone, he just wants to be alone. In the market, there was a woman known as Fatima. Fatima was curious, and she obviously did not believe Nzula. She waited for some months to see if Mwaki would show up, but he did not. She decided to get to the bottom of what was going on. Since she didn't know Nzula's home, she decided to follow her. Nzula did not realize that someone was following her. When she reached her hut, she started preparing food. Fatima was still watching from afar. And when Nzula carried the food inside her hut, Fatima followed her and saw her feeding Mwaki. Mwaki was lifeless. She could not believe what she was seeing. How was Nzula feeding a dead person? Was Mwaki dead? These were the questions that Fatima could not answer. So Fatima decided to tell the elders so that they could do something about the situation. The elders gathered at Nzula's home and told her to bring out Mwaki. Nzula was resistant and she started sobbing. Mwaki was found dead, but his body was fresh as if he had died that same day. The elders talked to Nzula and helped her understand that it was time for Mwaki to rest. The elders wrote a letter to their children, requesting them to come back to the island. When the children came, they could not believe what was happening and what their mother had done. They mourned, and Mwaki was given a respectful burial by the people of the island. Nzula received advices from the elders every now and then, and she began to accept the reality and understood that no one could fight death. This message is for anyone who has lost a loved one. Healing is a deeply personal journey, and it's okay to take your time. Grief can be overwhelming, but remember that it's a testament to the love you had for your loved one. Allow yourself to feel the pain, but also seek support from friends, family, or a professional if you need it. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means finding a way to carry your memory with you while you're still moving forward. You're not alone in this journey. Keep fighting. Bye!